Hello and welcome to another sketchbook tour of mine. Today I want to go with you guys through my second sketchbook that I filled. I worked in this sketchbook from October 2016 to June or July 2017, so it is a pretty old one. And as you can guys see, I did not only work in the sketchbook but also onto the sketchbook. That was why I was in university listening to some classes, and I had a green fountain pen at that moment, and so I just doodled some mandala like shapes on it because I needed to concentrate. It also ran through a lot, it has a lot of water and juice stains, and I think that is probably graphite stains and stuff. This sketchbook ran through a lot. It's a sketchbook from Leuchtturm, and I really like that it's green and it has those bands so you can find places again. It has something to hold it together that is still existing. Most of those thingies that hold sketchbooks together break with me, and it has a fold that is also not totally broken. The sketchbook still holds. That is something rare for me in my sketchbooks. And it starts with that really cool map of the world in those brown tones, and I really liked the sketchbook when I bought it, and I was really excited to use the sketchbook. And on the first side I used some stickers. I don't know from which artists they are anymore. I forgot to write that down, and here are some bear, sheepy, bean versions with two different hairstyles that I had. And a lot of chaotic notes. Here's a little self-portrait that you should contact me if you find this book. I wanted to buy Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed-Through Proof White ink at that time, so I wrote that down because I didn't want to forget to buy it. I still haven't bought it because it's pretty expensive, but I'm still debating because it always looks so good when other artists use it, and sometimes using, for example, white Posca pens or gel pens, they're just not as white as I would wish to have them. And then here are some Copics that refillers that I wanted to buy, and I noted down that I want to buy hot pressed watercolor paper. I still didn't bought that yet and experimented with it, just because it's also quite some expensive paper. And here's then my first drawing I did. That was inspired by a mousepad that I bought. Also forgot that artist. This one, it's really old. And they had those slime cats that were really colorful, so I was like, yes, colorful cat shapes, that sounds perfect. And I drew this with Copics, and then I went in a little bit with an acrylic pen. And here's the next drawing I did, also with Copics. I really like this one. I worked on this for multiple days, I believe, just with breaks and stuff, and some details I added with colored pencils. I made the shadows more intense with colored pencils and added them into the butterfly, and the roses I added, or the flowers, I don't know if it's roses, I added quite some time. Later I practiced them later in the sketchbook and then filled the background here. Here, barely visible, is a sketch of a shell, like a seashell, and here's a person then that is listening to the seashell, and some 2-minute sketches. I think in this sketchbook I started with 2-minute sketches. I watched some videos from Art à la carte, and she introduced the website Quick Sketches. And since then I'm using most of the time that website because it times your references and then you just sketch. Though the heads are way too big in the typical manga proportions. More 2-minute sketches. More 2-minute sketches. I really like that pose, and I think I did something with that pose later on, and I also really like that pose. More 2-minute sketches. Even more 2-minute sketches. The sketchbook is full of 2-minute sketches. Like I have a lot of spreads with 2-minute sketches. This pose I also liked and used later. Even more 2-minute sketches. And more 2-minute sketches. Here, that is a pose I liked. And then I tried to do an ivy version with it and started coloring the person, but I never finished the green iris or the hair, so it's gonna stay unfinished. Then bleed through of the Copics with some 2-minute sketches, and here I then practiced the flowers and how to draw, how I would like to draw flowers without line art with Copics. I like this flower with the leaves quite a bit, so I then used them for this drawing. And even more 2-minute sketches. Here that was while I was driving in the bus to get to university at that time. I always had that advertisement with friends being next to each other and saw that, so I sketched that by being in the bus. And here are then more 2-minute sketches. I really like this one and how the dress looks. Here I then used one of the poses I liked beforehand with the 2-minute sketches for a mermaid. I first sketched this one, but the hair had too much volume and it didn't look wet enough, so I did draw this one later on again. That was in November of 2016, and I think I scanned that and it was part of a little exhibition in the university from the manga club I was part of. I tried here to draw faces in 2 minutes, but I hated that. It stressed me out so much. And then a fairy I never finished. The nose looks so weird. I still have problems with that perspective, not as much as at that time, but I struggled so much with that perspective in regards of faces. More 2-minute sketches with faces, a waffle, and this. Here I wanted to draw a woman covered in scribbles. I never finished it, but I really like how her face looks, the calm emotion that she has, and how the hair looks. That is a self-portrait of me, where I didn't like how my glasses looked, so I decided to do the next one without glasses. And then that was a joke with friends. We were planning to have a waffle evening, and so I drew a waffle saying, "I'm so tasty!" And then a dog that says, "Play with me," and a little sheepy of me being happy. And here's a scribble. I probably practiced that for the girl with all those scribbles on top of it. And then a little bunny and the 2 other bunnies. That was for Christmas. I bought myself at that time for the first time magnet paper that had a sticky side, and you could cut it with scissors. And so I drew cute little illustrations and cut them out, put them on the magnet paper and cut out the magnet paper and gifted that to friends and my parents, I believe. It was a really cool Christmas idea in my opinion. Only problem there is that the paper was not in any way, shape or form saved with anything, so if you got it dirty, it was dirty forever, and I never really figured out how to make those magnets waterproof, for example. It was just too much to take from my capacities, but because I always had that issue, I didn't continue making those magnets, even though it's a lot of fun and it's a cool present idea. And here, another portrait struggling with the nose position, the perspective. Here I tried to practice some emotions, and a raven portrait. I think that was in the first week of university, but I'm not 100% sure. Those were more sketches for Christmassy magnets. That was my partner at the time. A little rodent, doesn't it look cute? And here I draw a girl flying on a bee, and I wanted to do a magnet out of that too, I believe, and gifted my mother. I lost the drawing after I finished the drawing, and then I did the never animal. Instead of drawing the bee, I then drew a ladybug girl, and it was also really cute. And here I have a cute sketch. I think I did that with a Copic fine liner. It was a 1.0 a 0.1 fine liner or something like this. Always loved the really, really thin fine liners, especially at that time. And then a little drawing to like convey my love to my partner at that moment. More 2-minute sketches. Those are also 2-minute sketches, and this is a self-portrait of me, and my face is covered in strawberries and like with the flowers and the leaves, and obviously really big red strawberries, because strawberries are my favorite fruits. Then I think those were ideas for the exhibition for the manga club, because we had a magical topic and I was like, oh, dragons would be cool. So I tested out with dragons, and I drew here with ink I have. While it still was not dry, I got with water over the ink so it smeared a bit. But when it's dry, it's waterproof. It's Copic proof, so that is really cool. Did a little plan but never did anything bigger with it because I didn't like it so much. Then here's a May sketch. I think that was the start of a really crazy thing I did at that year. At that time I was still making calendars with original art for my parents and grandparents most of the time, and this year I decided to do that for my partner and for a friend as well. So I did 4 calendars. That means 4 times 13 drawings in like 3 months. Totally crazy stuff. I'm never gonna do that again. And I think I did a May drawing. Not this version of May, but I did a May drawing for the calendar for my partner. And then this is also an artwork I did for the manga club exhibition, and that I finished and scanned. And it looks so cool in person because I used that metallic lilac pen, and the metallic is not as visible but still visible if you draw over it with Copics. So I have parts where I drew over with Copics and I have parts where I didn't draw over with Copics, and it's like a witch doing a spell, and the metallic pen just looks so good. I really love that idea. It is so cool in person. And then here I sketched with a ballpoint pen. That is a doodle of me. Those are noses because I need to practice noses. Here I decided to practice a child with a mother, and it looks creepy. so creepy. I was really unhappy with that. And here then more 2-minute sketches. That is then the sketch for the drawing with May. Here I was drawing a person bowing. That was the nose of a person I saw in the train, and the nose was so cute. So I drew the nose. A little person. I think that's Symmetra. 2-minute sketches. 2-minute sketches. 2-minute sketches. Here I really like the perspective. It's so cool. At that time I still was trying to practice perspective. Nowadays I just don't draw it anymore. Maybe I will start drawing that stuff at some point again, but I just don't have the wish for it. But it's cool to see back and see that I was able to do some stuff, even if it's not 100% correct. It's still cool to see. And that is Sombra from Overwatch, also for the calendar. A sexy cat girl. 2-minute sketches. That was for the calendar for my grandparents. There I did portraits with flowers that grow in the months of the calendar pictures. And shortly beforehand I got myself watercolors, and I started using watercolors and brush pens for those artworks. It's not really good watercolor work, but I just freshly started and I was so excited to use watercolors, because beforehand I was always only using the school watercolors that are really bad, and I always hated them. And then with watching more YouTube stuff with art content, I saw what watercolors can do if you buy not school watercolors but more professional watercolors. So I bought them, and I'm so happy because they're just so cool. And I love to use watercolors nowadays from time to time. It's such a difference, the school watercolors to more professional watercolors, even if they are not schminke watercolors and not 100% most professional and most expensive and most high quality. The difference is just remarkable. And then this was Syndra from League of Legends. So for my former partner, I did an Overwatch calendar, and for my friend, I did a League of Legends calendar. that is a study from Tsuki Now. And this then was the calendar concept for the calendar for my parents. With my parents, I decided to draw this little cute fairy. The name of the fairy is Iona. I did 4-panel comics going through the months what she is experiencing with brush pen. And because I was doing 4 calendars, I didn't have a lot of time for the drawings, especially because I also was doing university stuff and procrastinating. So, I don't think that you always understand what story I try to portray in the drawings, especially at the end, but I love the storytelling part of this calendar. And that is Zarya from Overwatch, that's Tracer from Overwatch, that's the Firecracker Jinx skin from League of Legends, the Heartseeker Ashe skin from League of Legends, then that's Ivern from League of Legends, Namati Nami from League of Legends, Dragon Trainer Tristana from League of Legends, that is a Star Guardian Lux from League of Legends. Here I'm super sad how then the finished artwork turned out, because I needed to draw this drawing twice. I did the Overwatch drawings and the League of Legends drawings on Copic paper, and yeah, Copic paper is special. With the Copic paper you had one side that works really well with Copics, and the other side makes that the Copics look oily and they don't blend as well, and I was not aware of that. So I pre-cut the Copic paper and then drew the sketch and the line art on it. And because I pre-cut the Copic paper, I sometimes used the wrong side for the line art. So not all drawings turned out good. Some looked really, really oily and bad, and some, when I found out that it was the wrong side, I just didn't color then anymore and stuff. It was so frustrating, because I did the cutting first, then I did the sketch, then I did the line art, and I did the coloring last. So I found out that problem after I already drew everything. And with looks it turned out really bad, and then I redrew it and I fucked up her eyes really badly. And I was so frustrated, but I was in such a time crunch that I just went with the ugly eyes. And oh, that picture has ugly eyes. But the perspective is cool. And this was Bard from League of Legends. I think that's the Elderwood skin. This was going to be Kalista from League of Legends. And here I was like, I could draw her in a spear throwing pose. So I tried out the pose, and I tried out the pose, and I tried out different poses for Kalista. And that is then the pose I went with, and I'm really happy with the pose. And I did the same thing with trying out different poses with Diana from League of Legends. So I have here different poses, how she wields her weapon. And I went with this pose, and I'm really happy. Obviously this here is only a sketch, but it's still so cool and it's so dynamic. Doing dynamic drawings at the time was really fun, and maybe I'm gonna start doing that again. That would be super cool. Then that was Lulu Winter skin. Don't know the name of the skin anymore. And that was Talia. And here is a little comic for May, for the calendar of my parents. There, the elf Iona is catching an egg and bringing the egg back to the nest of the little birds. And that was then a sketch for the portraits. At some point I was like, oh, the portraits I did do for my grandparents, they do look kinda lame. So I decided to cut some up in pieces. So I sketched down the face I wanted to have, and then the pieces, and then I glued the pieces of the artworks into the calendar. This is a little sketch where I drew gold jewelry and used a gold pen that I bought at that time. It was a Posca brush pen. I used it sometimes, then I didn't use it for over 2 years, and now it's just right up dead. And that was for the calendar for my grandparents. And here is another sketch with those gold jewelry. I really like this one, and I like the gold with the black. It looks really cool. And then here, those two are sketches for the calendar for my grandparents. Those two are sketches for the calendar for my grandparents. I have the feeling I stopped cutting the stuff so much after like the first 2 or 3 pictures that I did, because I didn't like it anymore. Then this is a sketch I did with my brush pen. another sketch, but I didn't like it, so I didn't finish it. Here I wanted to do another drawing with a person with a lot of gold jewelry, but I didn't finish that. Here I doodled with my brush pen a lot. Then that was another concept for my fairy. I think she was collecting flowers, like those first flowers that come out of the snow when it starts with spring. In German they are called Schneeglöckchen. But I'm not 100% sure what I did here anymore, because the last sketch especially I can't read anymore. And then another sketch for the calendar for my grandparents. Failed sketches where I disliked the faces enormously. Like, I was so frustrated because at that time, because of the amount of drawings I was doing, because I'm crazy, I didn't had a lot of time to have failed sketches. So it was so frustrating that I was having a bad day of sketching faces, because I needed to figure out the stuff and the concepts, because I needed to draw the stuff. Another failed one with really ugly teeth. This one was not too bad. With this concept I went for the calendar for my grandparents. Another failed sketch. Another drawing for my grandparents. I think I like this one a lot. I drew poppy flowers here, and she had really dark brown hair. And I love the combination of red and dark brown and black colors. Another failed sketch. This was a sketch with a brush pen. I did really love how the pullover looks here. Another sketch for the calendar for my grandparents. A brush pen sketch. This was going to be a sketch for the calendar for my grandparents, but I hated how the teeth looked. Like, drawing teeth is so hard. Like, it's incredibly hard. And then I went more for this concept where you don't see the teeth, and I cut it apart again, and that looked I think it looked really cool. I'm not 100% sure, like, I didn't saw those calendar drawings since 2 years or longer, but I think I was happy with that at the time. And, to make things worse, this is the first drawing I believe I did in January, and Art a la carte, I was watching her quite a bit at that time, made a calendar with daily drawing challenge for a full year, like 365 days. And I didn't even finish all the calendars, because I managed to finish the calendar for my grandparents and my parents and for my friend in time, like when I was seeing them, not on Christmas. But the one for my partner was a bit late. I think I gave him the calendar mid-January or something like this. So I decided to add into the drawing of the Overwatch characters that were still left a daily challenge of drawings, where I would have loved to, in addition of studying and having a social life, to make elaborate illustrations. So I did this first drawing. I don't know what the topic was, something with faces or portraits or something like this. I think I wanted to do that with watercolors or digitally, because I still had the hope to learn how to draw digitally at that time. And I wrote down how I want to color what, and I imagined her blowing stars and her face and hair being like a sky. Here is a Winston drawing that I did for April in a Hawaii outfit, like with a bikini and a skirt, how you imagine like a really bad Hawaiian costume to look like. And then that was a drawing from Anna from Overwatch, from the young Anna skin. Then this is a drawing from Diva from Overwatch. That is Farah from Overwatch, and this is Mercy from Overwatch in the witch skin. And here, this is Widowmaker from Overwatch. I really loved the finished Copic illustration from Widowmaker from Overwatch. I did fuck up the face a little bit, because at that time I decided to try to use shadows a little bit more and shadow the face more intensely, and I started to use really intense shadows underneath the cheekbones to contour the face. But the contouring I did not fit to the face shapes and did not make sense, and instead of like making an attractive face, it made the faces look hollow and to a certain degree underweight. But I loved how the suit turned out. Like in Overwatch 1, the suit of Widowmaker was this kinda hollow material, and doing that effect was so much fun and it looked so good in my memory. Like, I was so proud of how the suit turned out. Those were then more drawing of that art a la carte challenge with some eyebrows, lips, noses, and I believe teeth. Those lips and teeth, they're just wrong in so many places. Yeah. That was then another portrait I wanted to do digitally. Here I was drawing ears with some jewelry. And here I'm really proud of this one. It was also a portrait, but I thought of like broken skin because this is more like, the face is more like a vase and flowers growing out of it and breaking the shell and freeing them. And so I had a lot of blooming flowers and vines growing out of the face and the body, and I'm really happy with it. And I also loved how I shaded it at that time. Nowadays I obviously would do it differently because that wasn't at the start of 2017, but I'm still loving it. And here I then drew another person with a lot of jewelry. I probably hoped to line that again with a black pen and use the gold for the jewelry again, how I did it some drawings beforehand in the sketchbook, but I just didn't have the energy and time because I probably overworked myself a lot with making 4 calendars in 3 months. Here was another drawing I did. I don't know what I planned anymore, but I wanted to do it digitally. That was a sketch in the library at our university. And that was the view out of the library in our university somewhere where I was studying. And this is really cool. This was a concept sketch for something I wanted maybe to do in aquarelle because I thought that would fit really well, of Ophelia. A portrait with some smoke out of the nose and smiling portrait. A sketch. I don't know anymore what that sketch means. I know that this is a face and those wings, because that is the word for fairy in German, are probably fairies and they maybe played with the hair. I'm not 100% sure. And another sketch, this I wanted to do like black tattoos and then rainbow glue over the person. Another sketch with some fish. Another portrait. This I really liked, like it was starting to get spring and I drew a person and I thought that in her hair could be the twigs of trees with some flowers or some sprouting leaves. And here a sketch where I tried out a pen and I used golden watercolors that I got for my birthday, I believe. But the pen sadly is not waterproof when it's dry, so I couldn't use that there anymore. And then that is a sketch for a character. I think that was around February or March of 2017, and I there decided that I don't want to continue studying what I started studying, media science, because for one, it just was not that interesting. Second, I was to a certain degree just super bored. Like the stuff was simple to a certain degree, and with it being simple, not exciting enough that I was able to focus on the informations that I were getting. So I decided that maybe I should try to study communication design or something like this. And so I started watching stuff about maps to apply for arts university. And this was a character I did because I was like, maybe I could do something like concepts for a point and click adventure with her as the main character. She's gonna come up in the sketchbook way more. Then here, another portrait with a snake. And another portrait. I was doing so many portraits. And here another portrait where I wanted to draw a girl with a lot of colorful rainbow hair. And I think I even did that with colored pencils. Another portrait with a person holding something, but you don't see a lot, so I don't know what she's holding. And here I was doodling during university, probably just a face without sketching, just with a pen. And this was definitely a doodle university because I was super bored. It was super uninteresting what we were doing to me, and I was using a fountain pen, and instead of cleaning the fountain pen between swapping the ink, I just used the ink so I had gradients in my writings and stuff, and I just doodled some shapes, and I really love how this looks. Doodling shapes sometimes is just so amazing and also super fun. Another portrait. Those are portrait sketches I did, and I even noted down where I found the reference from, and I did this just with a pen without sketching beforehand. And the same thing I did here with hands and with a kangaroo, and then also with 2-minute sketches, because of course more 2-minute sketches. I really wanted to practice anatomy and getting better in art and getting better as fast as possible in art, so I tried to draw a lot at a time. That was then a character. I did like a warrior and really loved the line art I did here and how it changes in thickness. Just looks so dynamic with it. More 2-minute sketches. And here's the warrior again. A drawing of an angel. Then a concept of a person in a pond or something with sea roses. Some sketches of man because I needed to practice man. This was a character I did, and I did multiple illustrations with, so I had like a series of pictures for the portfolio to apply to an art university. Another sketch. This was a sketch I did for the birthday for my grandmother. I just drew a happy looking person in flowers, and I used the gold watercolors over Copics so that the hair that I used had a golden sheen, and I really liked that. More sketches of that character from beforehand. Then a cute sketch. I don't know why I did that. Maybe to do another of those magnets. This is the same character again, but I fucked up her face here. Fucked up the face again. Here I was writing down the copies I wanted to use for her. And I was drawing her in different clothes. And then I was drawing her here too. That was ended up in a finished illustration. Too. Here's the character again with the potential point-and-click adventure game, at least in my head at the time, potential point-and-click adventure game. And I figured out the color scheme that I wanted for her. Then I drew her with different expressions and wrote down ideas for the start. She has a companion, and it's a Pegel. It's a mixture of the German word for Pegasus, and German word for donkey, esel, and so it's a Pegel, because I wanted to be funny. And then I decided to make him blue, and he has little wings, because I decided to put a joke in that he would be able to fly if he eats red wool herbs. Yeah. And just a portrait, different expressions with her. The character again, how I wanted to color that drawing. I also decided to add a friend of her, so I had more dynamic drawings with more characters. And I decided the colors here and decided the colors there. This was a person I saw on the train station, and she looked so pretty, so I asked to take a photo of her and drew her then. And here I practice expression for Pegel, the companion of that other character for the point-and-click adventure. And I asked my friends to send me silly expressions, like make selfies with really silly and funny expressions. And then I was drawing those expressions. I really loved this one. And here they are together. And here they are as kids. I really love how he looks as a child, as a baby. He's so adorable. And here I then tried to get better at drawing landscapes and stuff like that. Here, that is a house. I think that was going to be a bridge. I didn't finish that. I think that was with gouache, but I didn't like working with gouache. I didn't know how to use it at that time. And here I did more such drawings, just even more unfinished, because I just didn't had at all fun with drawing buildings or landscapes or any environments. And then that was the point and click adventure character again. I just didn't finish this. And this is the first sketch of many. A friend of mine asked me to make a commission for him. He even wanted to pay me of his favorite anime characters. So I did the first sketch of that. And here another sketch but with the names of the characters, and he wanted a group pose with Ichigo, Sabo, Ace, Luffy, Natsu and Naruto. I never finished that commission, but I'm gonna have more sketches of those here in the sketchbook. And this here then was a cute little drawing I did I later on animated in Krita. I sadly don't know how to make that animation work anymore. I forgot how to play the animations in Krita, and at that time you couldn't save them in non-Krita files. I think you needed a plugin for that, and I didn't figure out how the plugin worked. I don't know how it works nowadays. I don't draw enough digitally or do animating stuff enough. And I also have not the Krita version from that time anymore. I now have the newest Krita version on my PC. Just don't use it. And that was a little kind of storyboard, maybe for an animation or something like this, with a person holding an umbrella over a really sad person. And this was a concept for the next exhibition. Like in the manga club I was part of, we had like exhibitions every half a year, and this topic was ice, and I was so excited for ice. So I'm gonna have a lot of sketches with ice, and I thought I could draw like an eye of a human facing a deer that looks at the human frightened, and you see the deer being afraid of the human in the eyes of the human. Then, at that time it was probably also mermaid, like we are now in May, and I was drawing mermaids. I did do a drawing with this one that I tried to do digitally, but didn't turn out so well. Then that was after I went with my portfolio to like a portfolio meetup at the university, and the feedback that I got was one, that I should use less line art and be independent from line art, that I apply at another place because I don't fit there, and that I should not draw so cute. And especially the thing with not drawing that cute devastated me a lot, because it took so long until I was able to draw that cute. Because before, like for a really long time in my life, I always struggled with how open or unopened the eyes are and how the mouth looks and everything, to make a smile not creepy or make a person not look depressed or creepy or not existent in emotions. And it just felt so devastating to hear that, because it took me so long just to have the ability to draw cute emotions and pleasant emotions. And then, I don't know, it just was really hard for me. But I tried to go with cute creepy stuff. So I thought making a creepy character with a really depressing backstory and a creepy puppet could be cool. This was a drawing for mermaid, I believe, with a little mermaid in a jar. I even did with dip pens and ink, another drawing. There I bought myself really expensive ink from Japan that is Copic proof when it dries, so really cool. And also dipping pens, Japanese dipping pens. I don't like them so much. Nowadays I use other dipping pens, but at that time I was really excited because they were way better than the old dipping pens that I used from my grandfather that were designed to write instead of draw. So I did that mermaid. No, it's not the same mermaid. So I did that. I have a sketch for that drawing at some other point. So mermaid drawings: a mermaid in a bathtub, a mermaid in perspective, another mermaid in perspective that I did here. Then again, I really liked the line art, but I never colored it. Another mermaid drawing. And here, that is the creepy father of the creepy person. I don't know what that drawing was. That is another eye drawing, but I didn't do a finished illustration from that one. But I really like the idea, like you had a, I believe, fan in front of the face and kinda Asian, Japanese inspired looking makeup looking over the fan. Here's another mermaid in perspective. I believe I tried to draw this digitally too after I scanned it. And here's then the drawing of this mermaid. I really like how it turned out. I'm really happy with it, even though the nose looks super weird. Some stuff I wrote down, a little drawing. I think that's a Pokemon, I'm not 100% sure. And then a drawing of a mermaid with a similar being. And the mermaid is eating sushi. The sushi is a panda sushi because I saw a YouTube video of how to make panda sushi. I found that so cool. And I really loved the perspective here with her holding the chopsticks and chopsticks hold the sushi and the sushi is in the face. Also love the sharp teeth and stuff. She looks really cool. This was for a Draw This in Your Style challenge. Some sketches that I did. Another sketch that I did for the Draw This in Your Style challenge. More sketches for the Draw This in Your Style challenge. And that is then the finished drawing for the Draw This in Your Style challenge. The challenge was by Yaines. I don't know if she still has an Instagram account. It was with one of her OCs and I had a lot of fun. I did this drawing with dip pens and inks and then the eyes with Copics. Really love how the hair looks. It is really cool. And then another eye drawing, but I didn't do more with. And here's another pose with that commission with those different characters. I think I forgot one. Yeah, I forgot one. Here are then all the characters spaced. And that was the first sketch for another drawing for the eye topic with the manga club exhibition. But I didn't finish this because I didn't like how I spaced the stuff. And at that time, I didn't just continue sketching, then I just used a new page. And I continued here and here, I liked it way more. I also finished this, so I'm hopefully gonna add a scan of this drawing in. And I really love that she has like butterfly wings that go out of her eyes. And it looks really cool. Here's another sketch for the anime drawing commission. That was a sketch for the eye topic that I never finished, where a person was holding an eyeball in their hands. That was also a sketch for the eye topic that I didn't finish, but I think I have a line art version of that. And this was a sketch for a drawing I wanted to do for my mother's birthday, I believe. And I then went with this a person holding a flower. That was a sketch for the eye topic again that I didn't finish. I wanted to draw like lilac clouds in the eye or something, like a sky in the eye or something like this. More eyes for the eye exhibition, and then 2-minute sketches, more 2-minute sketches, more 2-minute sketches, more 2-minute sketches, more 2-minute sketches. I really love this pose and the perspective here. Then that was also a sketch that I didn't finish for the eye exhibition. And here I tried to draw a present for my grandfather, and I wanted to do something with bulls because I just didn't know what to draw. And so maybe I could have drawn a person with a bull head, but I didn't like that at all. So I sketched a bull out of my head and did the bull magnet, colored it with Copics, and it looks so wrong. Like it looks so wrong, and it doesn't look like a bull at all. Here I drew a dress that I liked, or maybe I wanted to pinpoint different cuts of dresses. I don't know anymore. That was also an idea for the exhibition with the eyes. I wanted to draw cocks in one of the eyes, and in my head it looked really cool, really steampunky, and I loved how I drew the nails. All those eye drawings were quite inspired by pop surrealism, because at that moment, and I still really love to look at pictures from pop surrealism. That was another eye concept where you had hands and someone was focusing through their hands with their eye on something, and then here another eye concept where someone had eyes on their hands and they were covering their eyes and they were still seeing you because they had eyes on their hands. A sketch. And another sketch, something with covering stuff with hands. And that was just a relaxing sketch for me. A little sketch that I didn't finish. more mermaid stuff. This time I wanted to do a present for a friend that had a birthday, and she was with me at the time still playing League of Legends, and she loved Nami, so I decided to draw the TSM Nami skin. Those were sketches for that. And this I drew when I was drunk. I think from here on you mainly have only notes until here. That was the first week at university or something like this, and you have different notes, but also different drawings, like little sketches and more little sketches. This sketch is the Raven sketch that I really early on had here, just frontal. I didn't like the frontal, so I didn't do it frontal. There, this one is the sketch, first sketch for this one. And then more little doodles. This was my character Bib for that dating sim that I thought that I could do with a friend, but we never did more and never finished this. And this is also Bib. Here I also have some stickers from Tales of Berseria. I still have the mermaid drawing and the paper sheet and a postcard from the manga club. Here in the sketchbook, in this fold. Really love to have such folds to carry stuff. And that is my sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed to go with me through my sketchbook and had a nice time with me. And I wish you a good day and a good week. And if you struggle, you can do it. I believe in you.